Millions of Americans are gathering across the nation today to pray for America, its leaders and citizens on this National Day of Prayer.
For more about the focus of this year's events, CBN's Jennifer Wishon spoke with Shirley Dobson, chairwoman of the National Day of Prayer Task Force.
What can Americans expect on the National Day of Prayer?
Well, we're anticipating probably the largest prayer observance we've ever had. There will be more than 43,000 prayer gatherings across the nation. Wow. And we have 200 countries that are joining with us in praying for America. I got an email from Australia. Australia is calling a 7-day fast for America because they see that America is in trouble, that the heart and soul of America is there's a struggle going on right now. And so they've committed to pray for us, and I think that's wonderful because I think all of us can see that America is in trouble and we need to really come before God.
Absolutely. What is the theme for this year's event?
I love the theme this year, and I think it's so appropriate. Lord, hear our cry. And we took it from 1 Kings 8:28, which says, hear the cry and the prayer of your servant that is praying in your presence today. And we are God's servants, and we are going to be in his presence, and we're going to cry out and ask for protection, for mercy, and for healing on this country.
Absolutely. You mentioned 43,000 prayer events across the country. I know you have some 40,000 volunteers ready, but how can people find out what's going on in their communities?
Well, they need to log on to the nationaldayofprayer.org, and it will tell them if there's an event in their community or other details about the National Day of Prayer. But if there's nothing planned in their community, everybody can pray and invite a neighbor over for coffee and just decide on what issues they're going to pray about. Right now there's a spirit of lawlessness and violence in our country. We need to be praying against that, that our country will turn back to God and turn back to his peaceful ways.
Absolutely. This is the 64th National Day of Prayer. You have been spearheading this event for 24 years. Why do you think that this has become such a reliable American tradition, and how have you seen it change over the years?
Well, National Days of Prayer, first of all, have been part of our country's history since the Continental Congress in 1775. Many American presidents have called for a day of prayer, and Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War called for a day of prayer and humiliation. And so it's been part of our country's tradition. And then, of course, in 1988, President Ronald Reagan signed into law that the first Thursday of May would always be our National Day of Prayer. So there are multiple Christians in this country that really look forward to this day. I mean, it's a day that we need to celebrate and participate in, or we could lose it. So, you know, I'm thrilled that there's going to be over 43,000 prayer gatherings.
Absolutely. And, you know, millions of Americans pray every day, every minute of the day. But why do you think it's important for Americans to gather on a specified day together to pray for our nation? Why is that important?
Well, in the Old Testament, the scriptures tell us that there are many times when God's people come together in what they call a solemn assembly, coming together corporately to pray. And there's just power in that, and to join with other believers, it's very exciting, and to know that, you know, there's a lot of us out there, that we're not alone. And it is growing. When I took over the National Day of Prayer, we had I had one volunteer and $6,000 that was handed to me to call a nation to prayer. And it's just wonderful to see how that has grown to 43,000 prayer gatherings. And I just encourage everybody. I think when you come out together, it makes a statement in your community that we're not depending on the government to solve our problems. We're not depending on business. We're depending upon God. And there's always hope as long as God is on his throne.